At banks. I'm talking
Mm,
much broader. I
mm.
think a lot of the banks that we've spoken to are already engaged in DeFi.
Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video, we're going to run a two-part video breakdown, continuing our efforts to show you guys that we are entering into an era where we are going to be able to turn idle digital assets that are just sitting dormant in our cold storage wallets into yield generating assets with DeFi looping strategies. And that right now, these financial institutions and these large market participants are the ones telling you guys this to be the case on stage, and how this is all rapidly unfolding right before our very eyes. And institutions are already able to participate in these yield generation looping strategies, which is why we stress the importance of starting to learn and educate yourself on these DeFi yield bearing strategies. So that way, you, whenever you're comfortable and your own personal risk tolerance, allows for it, can start participating in earning yield on your digital assets. So welcome back to the platform. We're going to dive into some panel discussions today. The first half of this video breakdown is going to be me showing you guys video reels, proving some of the things that we've been sharing with you guys on both the X and on the YouTube space. And then the second portion of today's video breakdown, we're going to get into the nitty gritty of some things that are available to us as retail investors. And I'm going to show you all how institutions have just recently announced that they are already participating in the same exact strategies that we as retail can participate in. My goal here is just to show you guys physical proof that nobody can deny this or say that DeFi is a scam or the institutions aren't using it. To some degree, they are. And we're going to continue to show you guys that documented proof here at CYPRX, putting our money where our mouth is at and just expressing why it's so important that you guys educate yourself on these changing tides. Before we jump into today's video breakdown, if this is your first CYPRX video and you're like, yield generation, DeFi, what is all of this stuff? Head over to the CYPRX YouTube, click on the playlist tab, and look for the yield playlist. There's over 66 video breakdowns in this entire playlist. Now, I need to go in and I need to add some additional videos, but long story short, watching from the top of this playlist down to the bottom, it will get you to see and understand that DeFi is the level playing field that Donald Trump was talking about incorporating in his last term, and is exactly what the Trumps are currently now incorporating into the financial infrastructure to create and generate this level playing field, to put us on the same playing field to some degree as these financial institutions. Kicking it off with this post, as always, because this has aged so well, where I said to you guys back at the beginning of the month on May 2nd, the future of banking will run on DeFi rails. Traditional finance is undergoing a transformation, not just a facelift, but a foundational rewrite. And at the core of this shift is decentralized finance, a technology stack that is turning static banking into programmable, interoperable, borderless infrastructure where users will be able to put their idle capital to work. Now, imagine a future where a portion of your XRP or your XLM or your H4 or whatever headstrong digital asset you're super bullish on, you don't have to sell, because instead you can just, if you have this vision, right, where you want to hold until 2030 and beyond, you can just take that idle capital, right? You can connect your cold storage wallet to a decentralized protocol and you can generate yield with it. Well, we are entering into that era right now where that is all becoming possible. And Christine Moy from Apollo told you guys this at a securitized event over 2 months ago. Take a second and listen.
I can share with you the vision that I'm working towards, which is, okay, let's talk about how, like today, when I get paid by Apollo, I get a deposit into, my bank account. And, on any given month, I might check my account and say, okay, my credit card bill is going to be this much. I have this much left to, invest. Usually a hot mess and working too much. So I'm like, maybe I'll just put it in treasuries and get whatever the treasury yield is, if at that. And it's like a multi-step process and need to go press some buttons and call someone to confirm it. And then inevitably the next month I have to pay taxes and then I have to unwind out of that and like put it back into cash and then like wait until like my check clears. Now in a future world, and this is what I'm working towards and building with each of you is, I get paid into my crypto wallet. And in my crypto wallet, I have almost like a model portfolio designed that's customized to me. It's going to be 10% stable coins. It's going to be 20% BITL. money market funds. It's going to be 25% Apollo private credit and like 25% Athena, right?
Give me your pen, Robbie. I got to write this down.
Right. But like, imagine like I have like basically like a customized portfolio to my risk profile that says Christine at all times wants to have her account in this pie chart.
Yeah,
right?
there's a smart contract that when the assets drop, it deploys.
It deploys automatically. And then what that means is that every last penny of my earnings is fully invested in yielding without me actually having to do anything. And what that means is that every last penny of my earnings is fully invested in yielding without me actually having to do anything. And then, you know, if I'm having Nobu at lunch and basically I use my securitized debit card that's connected to my securitized wallet, basically like, okay, here's like $100 to Nobu, that's an automatic swap of $100 out of my BUIDL into US dollars, into USDC off ramp, like CU0 hash, off ramp to pay Nobu. And then essentially like that means not only is every penny of my earnings deployed, it's deployed up until the last second of which I actually spend it.
And so in the first portion of today's video breakdown, now fast forward to more recent times, this was a Solana ship or die event 2025 that was posted 2 days ago from Solana Accelerate. And we have two gentlemen speaking here, Garrett Harper, the head of business development and comms at Squad Labs. And we're going to get into what Squad Labs has just recently released via what they're talking about. And then we have another gentleman here. His name's Adil. I'm not going to butcher his last name. He is the head of crypto at this organization called Bridge. We're going to listen to 4 video clips where they discuss and talk about exactly what Christine Moy was discussing and telling you guys she's building and going to be incorporating into her financial scheme in the future moving forward. And this is just going to solidify the second portion of today's video breakdown where I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you all the retail side of things and how we can participate in these lending, these borrowing, and these yield generation strategies right now, and how institutions are doing the exact same thing, but on an institutional level. So let's take a second and listen to the first video clip where they go on to discuss and talk about a virtual bank account earning yield on idle stablecoins and how people all over the world want to be able to generate yield. Keep in mind what a gentleman from the Stellar Development Foundation said sitting on stage with David Schwartz about earning yield on your idle cash.
Stablecoins we're going to see, the more competition there's going to be around, you know, how much yield and how is it distributed to the users. And so I think this place where we're at right now, where there are a bunch of stablecoins and functionally they're doing the exact same thing, I don't think that's going to stay for long. And, you know, people are realizing, I made this equivalent for like a checking account earlier. You know, if you're just holding dollars and not getting yield on them, you're effectively losing money, right? So if you want to be a participant in the on-chain economy, you want to have a way to park your money in a way that generates yield. Yield-bearing stablecoins are the way to do that. And there's going to be a lot of competition with that space.
I'm trying to show you guys that it's not just Solana doing this. It's not just Ripple or Stellar doing this. It is all of these blockchain protocols. They know that earning and generating yield in the DeFi ecosystem from both a retail perspective and an institutional perspective is a must if they want to survive long-term in this digital asset ecosystem. So let's take a second and listen to what these gentlemen have to say.
And to go on a quick diatribe about how Bridge is actually used across our products. So we're not only telling you can show it. Talk about squads and take you back 4 years ago when everyone building the space thought you had to be a DAO, right? Like a decentralized autonomous organization. And so you had programs and you had tokens and you had to secure that in some way. So that's when we built Squads multi-sig. Now that's like transformed a lot over time. We have like 350 teams using it, 10 billion in value. But we wanted to bring that security and functionality to people like me and you. So we built Solana's first smart wallet with Fuse. That was great. It had the security from Squads. You had integrated yield and some other cool features, but it didn't go from a smart wallet to a personal finance app until we started working with Bridge. So once we brought in Bridge, you could do things like have a virtual bank account where you can have Fuse. It gives you bank account details and you can receive bank transfers from businesses and people from all around the world. And then also later on, if you want to send USDC to your own bank account or to others, you can also use Bridge for that, and you do it in just a few clicks. And I think it was a few weeks ago now, we released Fuse Card. So not only can you earn on your stable coins, you can, on-ramp, off-ramp, you can also spend them anywhere. And this is all done through Bridge. So to me, that's how it's completely transformed Fuse, but it's also enabled 2 new products we have. One is called Altitude, which is a stablecoin native USD account to save, earn, and move dollars. Essentially, we have a lot of Solana teams that want to have stablecoins as a large part of their business now. But as part of that, we also have people all around the world that just want access to dollars, they want access to yield and global payments. Part of that, we also have people all around the world that just want access to dollars, they want access to yield and global payments.
So I'm going to pause it right there. He's pretty much talking about enhancing the bank account experience for everyday average individuals to earn and generate yield on dollars, and how people all over the world are wanting access to these products. This is massive considering what I've tried to show you guys, that DeFi is this level playing field. Donald Trump Jr. sitting on stage at an event most recently that I've shared video clips at was talking about how the banking system is a Ponzi scheme. And then he had individuals from World Liberty Finance sitting on stage talking about exactly that, enhancing the everyday average checking account and savings account for, you know, normal people, for them to start to generate yield and earn more income on their capital.
I know nothing about crypto. Everyone's got a bank account. Everyone's got a debit card, right? Most of us have some sort of job that pays us. And the whole use and reason for having a bank account is so that you can get your money in it and you can go spend money. And if you have a savings account or a brokerage account, it's to grow that money and make it more useful, right? So our whole feeling is that DeFi can do all of these things better, whether it's self-custody of your assets, whether it's getting a better yield on your actual deposits by powering it through DeFi, or even spending it more freely.
Right? And this just goes hand in hand with what these gentlemen have already built out. And we're going to dive into this. And again, the second portion of today's video breakdown, and I'm going to show you exactly what we can participate in terms of the retail side of things these institutions are doing right now. This is going to freaking blow your mind. But so that was a nice little tiny video intro. Let's listen to another one where he goes on to talk about how people are pumped to be earning yield. And this goes hand in hand with what I've tried to tell you guys in previous video breakdowns and posts, showing you guys documented proof that generating yield on your idle capital or your idle digital assets, whether that's stable coins or digital assets like XRP, XLM, or any of these other digital assets that we hold, is going to become the new sexy. Because who has this long-term vision that they're going to hold until 2030 and beyond would not want to be earning yield on that dormant capital the entire time? Imagine, as XRP holders in particular, right, over the past 5 years that we've been battling this court case with the SEC, imagine if that whole entire time that our XRP was sitting dormant in our ledger or our decent or our whatever, right, we were able to earn 5% yield or 8% yield. How bigger your XRP bags will be now that it's sitting above $2, right? It's exponential. And the growth curve is so massive that people that don't participate in these yield generation strategies are going to fall so far behind people that actually do, in a safe, effective, and efficient manner, because there is a strategy behind it. There are safety features that you need to practice to mitigate your risk, but it is possible. And through these platforms that I'm going to show you guys today, that are integrated with these security metrics and these institutional partners, it is extremely doable. So let's continue to listen to what these dudes here have to say.
For us, we think it's super important that we abide to kind of the highest standard of compliance as well, where this is a trusted product, not only from the reserve side, but also from the complying with all the laws side.
Yeah. Well, it's like being with Stripe isn't a bad deal for you guys either. So yeah, brand name's pretty great. If you didn't know, they were acquired by Stripe probably like 8 months ago or so. So it's been big for the whole industry. Do you have any thought on how stablecoins will go from being like an investment account where I'm earning your treasury yield on these stablecoins versus these are the stablecoins I use for payments? Because I think some people are very pumped about stablecoins and earning yield. Like if I'm a company in Japan, I have a treasury with some liabilities in dollars. I might want to hold dollars, earn yield on dollars. But will that same stablecoin that I'm earning on be the one that I'm making payments with?
Yeah. It's a really good question. It's sort of like my hope is that what we see, the evolution of this space, is that we see almost like a blending of the current and the savings account, where you don't think of them as different things, and you get all the benefits of the rewards and the earnings you can get from a savings account, but all the liquidity and the utility of a current account. And I think the important thing is to be able to have a token that is fungibly transferable to other stablecoins, especially when they're openly accepted, as well as fiat really easily, but also backed by treasuries essentially that can earn rewards.
So again, key vocabulary. He's talking about how people are excited about earning yield, and he's mentioning the blending of, you know, DeFi and checkings in a savings account and making it seamless and easy for the user, and in their experience overall, just as easy as traditional finance. And this is exactly what World Liberty Finance, Donald Trump Jr.'s whole entire team has been talking about. And this is already taking place on a granular scale across multiple different ecosystems, right? And so I'm here in an attempt to show you guys that not only you as retail participants can do this in the very moment in a safe, efficient, and effective manner, but so are institutions. And the institutional interest in this ability to generate yield is going to continue to soar and increase month after month after month. Take a second and listen to these gentlemen confirm that to be the case on stage, that banks will want to be participating and lending in borrowing and providing liquidity.
Wire to Africa is slow, is expensive, a lot of fees are taken out of it. And now to send stablecoin payment to someone in Kenya is as fast as me sending it to you right here. And I think what that unlocks, the sort of instant settlement, the speed, the size of small transactions being financially feasible, just sort of really unlocks a way of transacting globally that really didn't exist before, just the way WhatsApp and tools like that unlocked a way of communicating globally that just really didn't exist before. And I think right now, banks and regulatory bodies are still a little scared of what this technology means for them. But I think over time, they'll embrace it and realize they can make money in different ways and use things that they're really good at, like lending, providing liquidity. All of those are important things, regardless if the speed of money goes up and the cost goes down.
Yeah.
So why am I showing you this video? Again, the gentleman here just confirmed that he believes banks and financial institutions will want to lend, will want to borrow, and will want to provide liquidity, right? And I'm going to show you guys physical proof in the second portion of today's video breakdown that they have the ability to do so now.
And so, at least for the folks we've spoken to, people very, very much understand how important DeFi is. It's really just a regulatory piece. And we've seen since, late Jan that those conversations have sped up dramatically. And almost to the point where it feels like every person I'm speaking to on a call, because these conversations now went from, oh, I can't have this discussion to let's have all of the discussions. And we're all exhausted because suddenly the tap has been turned on again. And, everyone wants to start a DeFi project, some sort of initiative, where even if they fork something
internally at these CFI firms,
at banks, I'm talking much broader. I think a lot of the banks that we've spoken to are already engaged in DeFi in some way, shape, or form.
And so you need to understand that if you, on the opposite side of the spectrum, listening in, don't know how to lend, don't know how to borrow against your digital assets, don't know how to provide liquidity to generate passive rewards and income and participate in these yield generation strategies, you do not need to risk your digital assets in order to learn how to do this. You need to either do one of a couple of different things. Join a mentorship program, which in my personal opinion is the fastest way to fast track yourself through this educational curve that you could possibly go through. But you could also just go and read documents. You could watch these panel discussions. You could go and click on all of these different protocols and these platforms that are built out and go through and read the documentation and educate yourself, because a lot of them have tutorial video breakdowns, none in which so let me put it this way. The educational process to inform yourself on what is happening requires you to risk your capital. That's the biggest misunderstanding that I see from retail participants that are skeptical and sidelined about DeFi to the people that are actually taking initiative. As the people that are taking initiative have realized you don't have to go and risk your capital right now in order to learn and educate yourself about DeFi, but take the jump, take the leap of faith and start to teach yourself these things, because it is coming. It is coming with or without you. So I, again, suggest that you participate in your educational process. Moving on, last but not least, this is another thing that we have tried to convey to you guys, that this yield generation aspect that these assets have to offer brings a certain portion and a certain level of utility to these digital assets.
Years ago, DeFi actually brought utility to ETH, right? Now, if you're holding ETH, you can lend it, you can borrow, you can stake, you can do so many things.
XRP, for example, one of the biggest digital assets and has been since its launch and pretty much since inception, has never had the ability to be lent out, to be borrowed against, to provide liquidity with. And all of that is happening for the first time. And that unlocks a certain level of utility for these digital assets that is going to drive so much demand for these digital assets over the next consecutive couple of years outside of their normal use cases. And this gentleman here just confirms what we've been conveying to you guys in previous video breakdowns, specifically surrounding ETH, that DeFi unlocked utility on ETH. It's going to unlock utility on other digital assets. Listen to the gentleman go ahead and confirm that.
Yeah, and I think that's something we believe too. It's like, how do we make it really easy for anyone around the world to start a neobank, all powered by stablecoins? And I think step one is making it easy to communicate with all the rails that have existed in the past. Like, how do you get Mexican pesos or Nigerian naira into stablecoins? And then the next step is increasing the utility that we can get from stablecoins, whether that's earning yields, or whether that's making payments, or whether that's like transacting with others. And the more we can increase that utility that we can build on top of with products that you're building, products that we're building, I think the more all consumers and all businesses will start to benefit.
I love that. Well, this is great. Cool. It was a lot of fun.
Right, so we'll end it there for the first portion of today's video breakdown. The gentleman went on to talk about how if we can continue to increase the utility of these digital assets, we're going to continue to see people on board into the space. And yield generation is an aspect of utility that certain digital assets have not seen unlocked yet, that is being unlocked for the first time. Digital assets like XRP, XLM, and many others, just to name a few, are for the first time ever able to be utilized in the DeFi ecosystem and yield generation strategies. So with that being said, stick around for the second portion of today's video breakdown, where we're going to dive into some documentation from Squad Labs, take a look at some offerings from Bridge and what they're doing and things that they're offering to the everyday average retail investor like you and I to start to turn our idle digital assets into passive income generating assets, or assets that just give us more at the end of every single month. And I'm going to physically show you guys in the second portion of today's video breakdown that institutions are already participating in these things via recently announced fundamentals that have just dropped during the month of May. So with that being said, if you guys enjoyed today's video breakdown, the physical proof, the evidence that all of this is happening at a very rapid pace, do us a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Keep in mind that if you guys want access to any of these newly released fundamentals, these documents, these PDFs, these video breakdowns that we cover on the YouTube, you guys can always head over to CYPRXtrading.com. We'd love to have you in the private Discord. All of this information is shared every single day, always feeding information to our private community through our crypto research platform via our CYPRX researchers. This video breakdown in particular, as an example, was posted 2 days ago and still only has 300 views. So if you guys want to be ahead of the rest of the retail crowd in terms of gathering information and researching documents and looking at all the fine details, head over to CYPRXtrading.com. We'd love to have you on the team. As always, many blessings to you guys. With that being said, I will see you guys in part 2 of today's video breakdown.